gonna give time for people to come in. But while we in there, let's get into the intro.
Psyche in me, the psyche in me.
And welcome, welcome, welcome. We're gonna give it a few more minutes and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, and then you can see you can. And those of you that's joining, if you know somebody, tag them, tag a friend, invite a follower. All right. Hi, Wendy Brown. Hi, Ed. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Big Bro. Okay. Do y'all hear us okay? Hey, Jay. Hey, Jay. They said, yeah, they can hear us. I can hear feedback. I don't know if
Y'all missed us. We missed y'all.
yeah, we
We
did.
really missed y'all. Lots been going on, but we are victorious. And we are back and ready for our Transparent Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think
Okay.
so.
Okay. All right.
All right. One more time, just to check in since we've been gone. I'm trying to make sure I get these technical difficulties. Having some technical difficulties, but I want to make sure it's set up. Thumbs up if you can hear me. Really? So, come on. Okay. So today, topic is buzzards of the psyche. And if you don't know what a buzzard is, I was gonna get a picture, but I didn't have time to do that. But it's just like a vulture. And it's basically buzzards of the psyche. And so we've talked about what the psyche is. So for those of you who do not know, first let's just say welcome. And today is what we call Transparent Tuesday, where transparency is real. There's no other way to be. And for the psyche has a lot of meanings, but the main reason or meaning of the psyche, to make it in simple terms, is like your mind, body, and soul, which is like your inner person. And when you talk about the psyche, that is with your will and your emotions. And so today we're going to get into that. So the question is, who feeds on your broken places? And so we're going to get into it.
Let's get into it, y'all.
So today we're going to take a filter off, right? We're not going to come polished. We're coming real. Because this conversation, it hits deeper than the surface level relationships, right? Like, this is about the psyche. And as I mentioned before, it's your will, your emotions, and your inner life. And so, like I said, it's from a psychological standpoint. When it comes to your will and your emotions, inner life, that's with your soul, right? Your body. And it also comes from just a physical place as well. So that's what we're gonna get in today.
Yeah. And so, as she said, we're going to really take the filter off today and just talk. So we want to be, honest, right? So we were being honest with ourselves, and you were looking at yourself in the mirror, and you weren't on this live, but you were looking at yourself, being honest. Some of us aren't just dealing with difficult people, right? We're dealing with spiritual patterns. We're dealing with patterns where certain people don't connect to our lives, but they connect to our wounds. And I want to say that again. You have patterns where certain people, they don't want to connect to your life, but they want to connect to all of your wounds.
Right. And that's where the analogy comes in with the buzzards. And as y'all know, when we do Transparent Tuesday, it don't be scripted. Like, we really just pray about it, or like I said, we have conversations or just see stuff. And so I was going to talk about, it was either going to be community or masking, because we do have like topics written down as they come along. But then today I was driving and there was a dead rabbit in the road. And then I saw the buzzer and I was like, dang, they always praying on something that's dead. And then that's how I came up with the topic today, because that's also with our psyche. And so buzzards don't chase things that's alive, right? They don't pursue strength and movement or purpose. They circle what's already down and what's quiet or what's no longer fighting back. And so the real question that I want to ask is, what happens? Like, what happens when your psyche feels like that, or when your will is tired? When your emotions are heavy, when your mind is overwhelmed? That's when the circling starts. And so I just thought about that, and I was like, I had told my mom, I was like, Mom, I know we talked about this for the topic, but I was writing, and what do you think about this? And so we went with it, and so
Yeah.
that's today's topic.
Yeah, and that's so good. I love what you said about they circle. They just circle around trying to figure out how they're going to attack, how they're going to get that prey. But anyway, and I think for some of us, right, we've seen it without calling it what it is. So we have experienced what Brittany has just said, but we don't call it what it is. So a lot of times people who don't know how to meet you in your purpose, but they know exactly how to find you in your pain. Did y'all hear that? They don't want to meet you in your purpose. They don't want to meet you when you're doing good and when you're doing things purposefully. But buddy, oh buddy, do they come when they want to, know exactly how to find that pain that you're in, right? And so they can feel it. They can feel when you're down. They can feel when you have low energy. They can feel when you're just overwhelmed and tired. They can feel it. And so, if you're at a state of confusion, they can see it, they can sense it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're emotionally openness, they can sense it, they can see it, and they can feel it. And so instead of them covering you, now I'm talking to somebody out there, so-called friends that we have, instead of them covering you in that place of feeling low, saints, friends, loved ones, instead of you covering them when they're feeling low, you tend to see people consume that is exposed, right?
Yeah.
So people like to consume that is exposed. So when you're walking around and you're looking, sad, and you're going through different things or feeling different things, be watchful of those that want to gravitate to that.
Right, and that's golden. See on TikTok, they can see it. And hi, Sister Mary. Hey, Prophet Bruce. Um, they don't want to meet you in your purpose. No, this is timely. Yeah, I'm gonna put this here so you can also see why I'm doing that. And since it's Transparent Tuesday, right? Let's just be transparent. There were seasons where we weren't strong mentally. Most of you know that's where my field is dealing with mental health. So, all the time, even with me, like there's not season where we were strong mentally. We weren't grounded emotionally, or our will was weak. And in those seasons, that's when people will attract, right? So we are attracted to people who didn't build us, right? They just benefited from us being broken. And so that's something that I want to be transparent about when it gets like that. If you can be really real and not be like, oh, I had a strong mind, that was the mind regulator. Like sometimes life be life, and when you're not as strong as you thought you were, because tests do come to test that out. And you're not grounded emotionally, they're not attracted to, building you. They're benefiting from you being broken. And so I just kind of got that transparency within myself with that. So
Yeah.
I thought I'd share.
And that's real. That's real talk, because if we be honest, we maybe not now, but I'm talking to those that's real. Transparent Tuesday. If we be honest, people tend to want to gravitate to the negativity, but we have to be very, very careful. Like Brittany said, of letting things attach itself to us that doesn't belong. And so here's the spiritual layer of a lot of people miss, right? So as Brittany said, she's with the mental health, she's the clinical psychologist, I'm the minister, and so I bring things from both ends, but really looking at it spiritually, right? When your psyche is wounded, your discernment gets very quiet. So when you are wounded, your discernment is not as sharp as it normally is, right? It gets quiet. Yep. You start calling things connections that are really attachments. There is a difference.
Ooh, say that again.
You start calling things connections when they really are attachments.
I like that. I'm going to make that.
And there is a difference, y'all. Yeah. And we've got to recognize that from a spiritual perspective. I got a connection with this person, or I'm connected to this ministry, I'm connected to this. Is it really a connection, or is it attachments? Right? So we have to be careful, because things that attach itself will unattach itself really quickly. So we have to be very careful with things like that. So you start calling people support. I know that I got this support. They're supporting me. Really? Is it support, or are we really just, present for the access that you've allowed? Because no one should just have open access to you. So are they really supporting you? Or are they just enjoying the fact that they are in being able to access you at the present moment? Access to your vulnerability. When we're down spiritually, we become vulnerable, and they get attached to that. If you give them access to your vulnerability, why? Because you thought they were support. You thought they were connections, right? And so we're giving them access to stuff they really should not have. And so access to your energy. As Brittany said, buzzers are circling. What can I take? What, they already down. What else can I gravitate to, right? Access to your emotions. You're giving someone access to that when you are in a spiritual decline, right? Mm-hmm. You're giving people access to that. So we have to be very mindful, right? When our discernment goes quiet. We have to be very mindful. And again, for us high rollers, so holy, earthly good, I ain't talking to you. I'm talking to the ones of us that are real, real, that every now and then, right, our psyche gets wounded, right?
And like you said, that's exactly what the buzzards feed on.
Yeah.
Not your strength, like I mentioned, not your growth.
Because you can fight back.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you, but it's like unhealed places.
Yeah.
As well. And so we can go deeper, really, if we have to be honest within ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes we entertain those people. Because how did they even get attached to you in the first place? There's a difference, like you said, with the connection and attachment, but how did they get attached to us? And sometimes if they already are deadly inside with their psyche, okay, psyche, if they're like that, then if the buzzer can circle around and they're seeing that they're already weak and they're about to die, if that's attached to you, then guess what? Now it gets the price for 2 for 1.
Yep.
So I think, we entertain those people, and if we're going to be honest, we do. And I think because when your psyche is low, right, attention can feel like love.
Yep.
Even if it's draining you, right? So just know if your psyche feel low, sometimes the attention can feel like love, and it's not love, right? It's really draining you.
Absolutely. And and again, that's why I say, from this spiritual perspective, excuse me, y'all, if that discernment is low, you can be tricked really quickly. So it's real. It is really real, because the psyche, which is your mind, and we're going to keep emphasizing because we want you to get this, because it takes all three to be healthy and strong. And so your mind, your will, and your emotions, it wants relief. Did y'all know that? We can overwork our psyche to where it just gets tired and overwhelmed sometimes with life, and struggles and challenges and success. Like Brittany said, their wounds, disappointments, frustrations, all that stuff. And so it wants relief. It wants to feel seen, right? But not everything that sees you is sent to heal you. Do you understand that?
Yeah, come on.
Not everything that you see and that they see you, because remember what we just said, they're seeing you at your vulnerable stage. They're not sent to heal you. So you have to be watchful of those things, because some things are drawn to what's bleeding inside of you. And that's where that buzzard gets to circling, because that's what they're smelling, right? Yeah.
That was good. So I guess I have a question then. If y'all have questions, y'all know to ask in the comments. I'm trying to, again, y'all know we looking like at 3 screens and then the phone down here. So if I miss it, just ping it again. Yeah. But I have a question, right? How do you recognize it? Like, I'm going to ask for myself, and maybe that one, maybe Shy, like, so how do you recognize it?
Again, the key is being alert and aware, right? You have to pay attention to certain things, right? You have to start watching when people only show up when you're emotionally open, but they're not there when you're rebuilding. See, they don't want to see the rebuilding. They don't want to see you getting back up from being knocked down. They don't want that. They want to show up when you're emotionally open, right? When you're kind of over, your emotions just all over the place. Would be real, right? They don't want to. They want to come for that, but they don't want to come when you're rebuilding. Or it could feel like it feels comfortable when you're confused, but distance when you're clear. See, they're comfortable being around you when you're confused. Why? Because if you're in a state of confusion, guess what? I'm going to mess with that mind, because what takes and controls that mind controls that body. So I feel comfortable as that buzzard circling around, right, getting ready to attack. I feel comfortable when you're in a state of confusion, because that's when you start losing faith and hope in things, right? And so you got to be careful when people do that. But then when you get clear, when you pray and you did what you need to do, meditate, and you just take a moment. Sometimes as ministers, sabbaticals need to be taken and move away. Let me get myself together. But they'll distance from you then, because see, you got a clear mind. Now they can't control it. Now they can't manipulate right? So they don't want to be with you when your mind is clear. They want you when you're all discombobulated. And so another way to pay attention to it and recognize is engages more with your pain. They want to engage with you when you're going through pain. See, because they laugh. I'm telling you, a lot of people laughing at you when you're going through stuff, especially if you're being humiliated and being put through the ringer or public humiliation. We like to do that to people a lot. But we better be careful with that because, you know, God covers a lot of us from being exposed to things. So we better stop that. But anyway, you engage in people's pain more than their purpose. So watch yourself. Start asking yourself those questions. Yo, you weren't around when I was serving my purpose. You weren't here when my mind was clear and I was doing things. But you here now that I'm in this state of confusion and my psyche is wounded. Now you want to be around. Y'all, that is not alignment. That is not alignment. So that is not your support. That's consumption. That is consumption. And here's your shift. You ready for your shift?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm over here.
When you start healing your psyche, here, here, and here. When you begin to heal your psyche, that's when you will begin to be strengthened. You understand? When your will begins to be strengthened, when your emotions come into alignment, when your mind becomes clear. Because with a clear mind, baby, it's hard to trick you. With a clear mind, that enemy can't run up on you with anything because you recognize him a mile away. So, and when you become less appetizing to those kinds of people. So these are the things that I want you to think about when you're going through and your psyche is wounded, right? I want you to think about those things, how you recognize it, and then how do you build yourself up from that.
I like that. And I like that you said you become less appetizing to those people. That's look, I'm a free one. But I also think because there's nothing left for them to feed on. Like when you, like you said, when you're clearing stuff, there's nothing else that the buzzers can feed on. Like once they get done and there's something for them to feed on, they fly away. They go on to find the next person, the next dead one, or the next person, since we're talking like an analogy. And that's when you start noticing something, right? Like they disappear, not because you change in a bad way.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I said I'm sorry.
Oh, you looking at the comments? Okay. What was I saying?
Because you changed in a bad way.
Yeah, not because you changed in a bad way, but because you're like no longer available in a broken state, right? You're alive again. And of course we know buzzers don't stay where there's life. So that's just an encouragement. And I just wanted to give some examples now. When I was driving, like I told you, I ended up getting the topic by driving and seeing the buzzer. So I did write this down because I wanted to give examples like in today's society on what that kind of looks like, right? Oh yeah, I'm still working on this one. Let me know if y'all can't hear me because I do talk when I'm trying to get my thoughts together. I get away from the mic. But one of them was like crisis only friend. And what I mean by that, some say crisis, some say crises, depending on how you want to say it. But it's your crisis only friend, right? And what that means is they only call you when you're going through something or when they are, right? They disappear when you're stable or happy, right? Conversations are always heavy, always draining, always, negative, right? And it's like, okay, there's no growth. It's the same cycle. You keep hearing the same thing over and over again, right? And so the truth on that is they're connected to your pain frequency, right? Not your purpose. And so that goes into what you were saying with the attachment. There's a difference between connection and attachment. So when I thought about that, I was like, they connect to your pain frequency. And when you get into frequency and stuff like that with the field, you'll get it. But that's what I came up with. The other example I thought about is like an emotional leech. So like they vent, they dump, they unload, right? But they never pour back into you, right? So after that, a leech like always sucking the blood out, right? So in the life out. So you just, you feel exhausted after every interaction. You ever been on the phone with somewhere, you in there in person or even at an event or something, and because they just dump all this over you and you never got poured back into, you just feel exhausted. And I'm sure you can maybe think about that even for when it comes to the spiritual point, even with ministry, right?
Absolutely.
You feel exhausted after every interaction if someone's just dumping and loading, and then you're not doing, like you said, the sabbaticals or things that, because nothing is ever getting poured back into you. And they don't ask how you're doing, right? And your empathy becomes their supply. So like you're their dealer. Okay.
Ooh.
So just saying, don't be their dealer, because that's gonna get you caught up too. And we all know if you end up being a dealer, it depends on who it is, and they don't like something you do, you get right on, you locked up. So follow the analogy here, okay? But the truth is, right, they feel on your emotional openness, right, without reciprocation. And it's okay with emotional openness, but you have to be careful also with like also having someone as an emotional safety. So there's a healthy side to that, and there's also an unhealthy side to that. And then the other one that I had thought about when I was writing down is an opportunist. So the opportunists, they only show up, right, like when you're vulnerable, not to help, but to benefit.
Yep.
They give advice that keeps you dependent. And I've been through this. So while I'm writing examples down, y'all, it's really like, okay, God, I hear you. This is good. You know, this is good. I got you, because I'm coming from myself being transparent. Like, I had an opportunist or two before, right? And I don't know if y'all can attest to it, but I have. And it wasn't to help, right? It's just off of what they can benefit off of. They give you advice, like I said, maybe keep you dependent to make you stay where they want you to, so you can't really think for yourself and have clarity or clear mind, because it's all about that mind control, right?
Yeah.
They position themselves as needed. So it's like, oh, you need me for this. You can't do this. You need me to think for me. You need me to be able to handle this book of business. You need me to be able to drive for you, or you need me to be able to write checks for you. It really is amazing with the mind, and the stuff that I see come across in sessions. It is real. It is really real. The mind is a powerful thing. And then they subtly kind of, gain control while you're weak. They know who to prey on.
Yep.
Just like I said with the buzzer, they are buzzer. They know who to prey on, and they gain control while you're weak. And so the truth with that would be, they don't want you healed. They just want you accessible. Because if you heal, you're not going to give them access to it. And so I know for me, with my testimony, how I got out, I had to end up getting healed, and I couldn't call on nobody but God. And as soon as that, there was no more access. Even for the ones, that creep back in, say something sweet or nice as if they're needed again, because your mind is still clogged, it's not all the way pure, they can get access. If there's just a little crack in there, they have access. But when you really healed, you're not accessible no more. Another example I had that we may all have experienced, because I was trying to do in today's society, is the silent competitor. They're cool when you're down, right? And they're distant when you're winning, right? So low key, they're uncomfortable with your growth. They may even be like less supportive when you're progressing, right? Some may say, this is me, and my mom gets me because she tell it like it is too, because I'm still growing, but I don't like putting my energy in everyone else and supporting everything. And then when it comes time for it to be reciprocated or be poured back into, it's not there. But then they'll go to say, oh, you're just jealous. No, don't be less supportive when I'm progressing. And then here I am always supporting when you progressing. That something broken there, right? So I believe that energy shifts when you elevate, and that's okay. Listen. Energy shifts when you elevate, and it's okay. Don't deflate. Don't let nobody take you back down from when you was elevating. Keep elevating, because the truth is, your brokenness makes them feel secure.
Yeah.
So if you broken, they feel secure. They're good. But as soon as you're not broken, you get healed. Oh, baby, that's when their insecurities come out, and that's when you have a silent competitor. So that was just one that I had to put in there.
That's what I call the hater. That's it.
Now, this is what I end up doing if you do like trauma focused informed care or with families. It's called like the trauma bonder. They build connections through shared pain, right? But they never outgrow it. So if they keep on, as we said, keep on dumping and dumping and dumping, and if you feel like that and you have an attachment, not again different from the connection to the attachment, because they're connecting through your shared pain. But then now, if they never outgrow that, that's now an attachment that you really can't even shake off or get rid of, because they never outgrow it. So how can you also outgrow if it's still attached to you, right? What's that? Everything attached to me wins. Yeah. In this case, it don't. It's on the other side of it, right? It's the opposite. And then like conversations stay rooted in past wounds. It's okay, as they say, to tell about your test and give, going through the test and telling your testimony, but you just don't talk about the test. You talk about how you overcame the test. So it's not just like you staying rooted in the past, like, oh yeah, this happened to me, this happened to me. You just
Right.
keep on focusing on the test. Okay, but where is the testimony, right? Where is your guidance to, okay, I went through this, but this is how I navigated through it. Maybe this can help you. You know, everything is not the same for everybody. And that's why I tell the clients, like, everything is not the same for everybody. But just make sure that the conversations don't stay rooted in past wounds, because they do, then you have a trauma bonder. Also, no accountability, right, or healing direction. And growth threatens the relationship, because sometimes when people bonded with you and they have a connection with you through that shared pain, if you end up growing, I don't have my partner no more. So now I'm feeling left alone. Now I'm getting depressed. Now I'm getting anxiety because we have had a bond on trauma. And so I always say sometimes people don't even recognize it until they actually say it, or you break it down in simpler terms, be like, okay, you're bonded by trauma. You have a trauma bonder. So that's just a little nugget there that I'll be telling. So that's just one. And for that truth, it's just like they're attached to you while you're in pain, right? And as I also say, not who you're becoming, because we never will ever become or arrive, because we're always going to strive to become perfect. But there's always a chance for growth and keep on becoming. And the last one, it kind of deals like with a romantic side for relationships. The one that's always around when you're weak, right, in your romantic interest. And again, with my examples, I can speak on it because I love to be transparent. I'm like an open book. Sometimes they say too much open, but I'm open book. So they only pursue you, right, like when you're emotionally low. They come in strong when you're vulnerable, right? But again, when you get clarity and you can speak up for yourself, you can think for yourself, you can act for yourself, right? You can know, like, hey, how come I don't like the 50-50, to be honest? I won't, because if you giving me 50, where the other 50 at? We gonna come in this 100, not 100. I know I said 100. We coming in 100 together. So we can have an overflow. It'll be over than the 50-50 equal 100. We're gonna have 200. How about that? So that's just me. That's how I feel. But they come in, strong when you're vulnerable. They may disappear when you regain clarity and can speak up for yourself. And they love to create confusion, not stability. I mean, even with mine, and they'll know, as you know, like, this is my partner right here. She's my mom first, but she is my partner and my best friend. But even with that, you can create confusion. I'm just going to be real how mine was and how it was very crafty with the romantic interest. Like, oh, you're being controlled. Why do you listen to her and say this? Like, if they could get one little crack, I'm telling y'all, and create confusion and not stability on what you had, it'll start crumbling down. And that's with your mind, your body, and your soul. I don't care. If you are not strong like that, you would not be stable. It will be broken ground, literally, crumbling to the ground. So the truth with that is they're attracted to your lack of boundaries, not your value. Because back then, I really did. I said I had a good game and had a good talk. Like, okay, these are my boundaries. You can't do this. I'm not going to take this. Going down the whole list. Y'all listen, going down. I mean, I was strong-minded on that. Like, I don't care what nobody say. But then the way that they can know how to manipulate it, then you end up lessening your boundaries. And then you're like, okay, well, I said I was going to do A through C. Okay, well, let me take C out. Maybe just A through B. Okay, I said A through C. Okay, and I took out the C. Now, okay, let me take out the B. And then you just went A. That's because they already attracted to your lack of boundaries. You got to keep the A through C on what you said. Don't keep taking away. Go through with it, if that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And so to all this, I think the root issue is all of these buzzers have one thing in common.
Come on.
They don't create access, right? They respond to your exposure. And so when your mind is overwhelmed, when your will is weak, and when your emotions are unguarded, if you know about the mind, will, and emotions, that really is the whole makeup of the soul. So if I told you before that the psyche is the soul, but when you think of your mind, that's psychological too with your mental health, right? Your willpower, that can also be with your physical strength, because do you have the willpower to put down the donuts? Do you have the willpower to really exercise like you're supposed to really take care of your body internally, and also how the appearance is externally, right? Your emotions as well. That goes with the psychological part on things too. So it all ties into one. But when it's like that, you become an open territory. And when I tell you, if you ain't got no guards up and you ain't got no protection on that territory is going to be taken over. And so what I would say for the solution is, and just giving those examples, right? is that you gotta starve what really feeds on your brokenness.
Yep.
Like, you have to starve it. It may not feel good. You may get a little rumbling in your stomach. You know how when your stomach starts growling,
Yeah.
or you try to tighten it up something. You might get that, and that's okay. But you have got to starve your brokenness, because if you don't, it's not going to chase them away. They're going to keep going because they have something to feed on. So you don't fix things like this by chasing people away, right? You fix it by closing access points to your psyche, or in your psyche, right? So for the will part, strengthen your will.
Yeah.
Like, and that comes with discipline and boundaries. And so I'm going to put it in the chat, because I actually took time to kind of do where I was talking about the soul as well, but also bringing it from the psychological aspect. So I have it in parentheses. So when it comes to like your strengthening your will, that goes to what we call like discipline and boundaries, right? Learning how to say no without explaining. Not every call needs answering. Not every conversation deserves your energy. If I'm not feeling it, I know I'm already drained, I'm not about to have you come dump that on me. I love you, but maybe you can go to someone else or go to the Lord in prayer. But my phone is off. I have an actual timer on my phone now, because I'm already dealing with other people's stuff. And so coming home, sometimes I just want to woosah, because I'm already drained, right? And so I'll say shift it. Shift. It's just like, just because I'm available don't mean I'm accessible.
There you go, right
and you
there.
just gotta learn that. And like I said, I'm still learning that, because
Me
I'm kind
too.
of down on it, but my body's still trying to catch up,
Me
and I'm
too.
still finding myself doing stuff. The second part that will help to the solution on what I mentioned with those examples would be stabilizing your emotions, right? And that's where it comes from, the psychological part that we call self-awareness, right? Stop processing everything out loud with the wrong people. You can't keep doing that, because if you're processing it out loud with the wrong people, your process is going to stop right there. You're not even going to, you're processing, but you're not going to be progressing, right? Because you're feeling your emotions like without broadcasting them. Try to feel them. You ain't always got to tell how you feel. You ain't always, and I say this too, even like on social media, you ain't always got to tell everyone how you feel. Sometimes, because people are looking at that, and if they can see that, they can get you just like that. If you always broadcasting your emotions, just be careful with that. Sometimes you can go without broadcasting them, right? And be selective with your vulnerability. I'm not saying don't be vulnerable. I'm just saying be selective with it, because even when you're most vulnerable, that's when you're open. And depending on who you're vulnerable with, they will take that and use that and weaponize you. Yeah,
Yep.
they'll weaponize it. And so I would say for that, it would be, everyone doesn't deserve access to my inner world. So just think about it. Everybody doesn't deserve access to your inner world, right? And renewing your mind, right? This is like truth over feelings. Not every connection is an alignment. And you mentioned that. And I think that was really good on how you put it. Like, it's not just because it feels familiar, it doesn't mean that it's healthy.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that. Discern patterns, not just intentions, right? So a way to do that would be, I choose clarity over comfort. If you
That's
can do
good.
that,
That's good.
you'll be good, and you'll have a clear mind, and you'll be able to think better. You will be able to navigate situations differently than what you would before.
Yeah.
I know I have, and we talked about that before on one of our things, like with, becoming yourself and knowing certain things on how I know I have grown.
Yep.
That's one of those. And guard your energy. Again, that's with your spiritual awareness. We talk about self-awareness. Now, this is for the spiritual part. Guard your energy. That is your spiritual awareness, right? Pay attention to how people affect you, not just with what they say. And boy, have I, right? Like, even doing this, on what I'm doing, I'm not gonna lie, it affected me. I felt drained. I felt down. I'm like, golly, like, I was told this is like witchcraft. Am I gonna be a psychic? I'm trying to preach. I'm like, where? And this is before I even started, right? Like, and you never know how your energy or your perception on what somebody's trying to do, how that would affect them. So I just encourage people, like, pay attention to how people affect you. And not just what they say, but what they do, right? Do you feel drained, or do you feel poured into, right? Do you feel supported, or are you feeling like you're being neglected and used, right? Do you leave confused, or do you leave clear? And so what I would say is, I don't ignore what my spirit is picking up. I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call it jealousy, whatever. I know what my spirit picks up. And so I never am left blinded, right? But you still love those, right? Even when they don't understand, they may not understand, why we do what we do here on the PsycHE in Me. And that's okay because it's not for everybody. But I do know what it was told and what the purpose is for me and what I was told, right? And so heal what's open. That's your inner work. And that's the inner work with the PsycHE, right? Unhealed areas will keep attracting the same patterns. If you notice that and you say, oh, I'm healed, but you're still going through that same thing, even mentally or anything, you're not getting no help for it, because therapy is okay. Therapy is okay. So do the hard work, right? That can be like reflection, prayer, journaling, therapy if needed, right? And then close your emotional wounds that have been left exposed, right? So you can kind of shift the narrative from I'm not available in broken versions of myself anymore. So you can't get the broken pieces because you still got the broken pieces around. You can end up putting them together, and then that's a whole different masterpiece that wasn't supposed to be there, right? You're supposed to leave them broken, and when they're broken, sweep them up, dump them in the trash, and let them go out, right? And so if I could leave y'all, well, do you have anything?
No, I love this. The psyche part. I'm listening to the psychology piece of it, so I'm learning.
Well, you gave a whole word today for the scripture. It was good. See, we a good team. But I'll say buzzards don't create brokenness, right?
Mm-hmm.
They locate it. So they travel all over to find what they can feed on. So buzzards don't create brokenness. They locate it. So if you want different people in your life, right? Don't just change your circle. Heal, 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 heal. Heal what's been left open in your psyche. That's in here. That's in here. That's all your psyche, the whole body. Like heal what's been left open in your psyche. And that's really all I have to say.
So I think that I'll go back, and so I want to say, we'll leave all of our beautiful community with this, right, with this truth. Transparency, which we always like to do on Tuesday. We're transparent people anyway. Anybody know me? Know it is what it is. What you see is what you get. But on this Transparent Tuesday, I want to just say to you all, just like Brittany said, again, y'all, guard yourself, guard your psyche, guard it. Not just your time, not just your space, but your inner life, right? Because everything flows from there.
Yep.
Everything flows from there. Your choices, your relationships, your directions. So you want to be able to strengthen your will. You want to be honest with your emotions. You want to heal what's been setting, open too long. Because unhealed places, they just hurt you, and they attract the wrong people. What's that saying? Hurt people hurt people.
Yep.
And in order for that to happen, a lot of times we attract that, right? We're looking for, how can I go hurt somebody? Well, they hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you back. Or I'm going to hurt this person, right? But I just want to leave that thought with you. You deserve it. You deserve relationships that meet your wholeness.
The whole, it's mind, body, and
your wholeness. Yeah. Not just your pieces.
I like that.
Okay. So I wanted to look at some, because we got a few minutes, so I wanted to make sure that anyone have any questions, or you got some great comments. I've been trying to read them and not interrupt Brittany, but that's all right. Apostle Wood says that they cater to your flesh and not the spirit, the stroke ego and not being revealed, revelation, not prayer driven, but rather agenda motivated. No, that's right. Because I will look at you in a heartbeat, especially if you're coming to tell me something someone said, depending on how you telling me. Well, did you defend me? Or did you, how did the conversation go? Did you offend me or did you allow it? And what's your purpose? Like when people bring me certain things, like at work, some of my employees bring something about another one, I always look at what's your intention? What's your purpose? And why are you telling me this? So start asking yourself those questions, guys, especially like I said, when you're feeling a little down and you're a little wounded. Since we said so they can manipulate and take advantage. Exactly. Manipulation by divide and conquer. Sister Dorita said. Prophet Woods gave a scripture, Proverbs 4:23, the new version. He said, New International Version. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do. Yep, flows from it. Yep, yep, everything. Yep. And anybody know me and Brittany, we like analogies, y'all. So a lot of times we will bring analogies to y'all, but if we ever bring an analogy and you're like, huh, just ask and we'll break it down to you. But I just think sometimes we can be too deep and you lose people, right? And I think that when you are talking about things like this, you need to make it simple. And it's good to give an example like that that people can see, because we see buzzes on TV and stuff, and what they do, you see it out there, a dead animal, you see them all around just eating them. But we like to give analogies so that you can wrap your mind around what we're saying, and it helps people to create their own analogies in their own lives. So I love analogies, so I always will have an analogy of something. And Brittany, she's me on steroids when it comes to analogies. Everything is analogies with Brittany.
Yeah.
But that's all I have tonight, and I love the comments. We thank you all for joining us. I don't know if you want the final words. Hi, Cynthia and Stephanie.
And I think
Anybody
it's so true. I was the scapegoat for many.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Being a scapegoat.
Yeah. And I tell y'all this: who pay your phone bill? If they don't pay your phone, you don't have to answer that. And how they don't see you on the other end. They can't see you.
If they are helping with the phone bill, that's okay.
Right. We appreciate it, but my psyche need a rest. Because some people help them with the phone bill, help them with your woundedness as well. So yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, but thank you, but thank
you. Yeah, sometimes guys, and I tell people that don't call me on a Sunday before church if it's not an emergency, because I'm not going to answer you, because I don't want my spirit bothered. I don't want whatever you got going on. I need my spirit clear so I can hear and enjoy. So that's just putting that news flash out there. Sunday mornings, you're going to go to a voicemail for me. And if I get to it that evening, I'll do it. If not, I promise you I'll get back to you soon or later. But sometimes we just need to go to the good Jesus, because I'm not him. Amen. And that's just how I feel sometimes, because I've got to take care of my psyche, because if I just be real honest, I've been very, very tired. Very tired. And I know that as ministers of God's word, saints of God's people, we go through a lot. And I just feel like my body has been attacked every single chance it gets. When I'm over one thing, here comes another. And I'm just being honest, I get tired. And I just was at a place where I'm like, man, God, come on. I just came out of something. Like, it's always something. But I do trust him, and I do know that it is part of it. And so that's why I tell people, don't want nobody else anointing. Don't want nobody else calling, because it comes with a price. And but I'm just being very transparent with y'all. My psyche is wounded, but it's building. And I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just being honest. I am tired. And I'm like my brother Job, though. I'm not going to curse God. I just trust him. But just being transparent with you, because sometimes we can hold things in and not want to share it. But I share it with y'all because we are a community. And if I'm always acting like everything is so perfect and fine, how's it helping y'all? Right? And so I want to draw those into the kingdom. And I want to draw you nigh to let you know you're not by yourself. Things you go through, it's called life. And life be lifing. And we got to take care of more than just the spirit man. We got to take care of it all, y'all. We got to take care of it all. So if I just present myself as somebody that's got it all together all the time, then I become unrelatable. And I don't want to be that. So I'm just sharing that with y'all. Yeah.
And maybe these days we can peep it. Yeah. The generation they can peep it. The phoniness. Don't be fake it. Be transparent.
They can peep it. So I love this. I love our community. I thank all of y'all for joining us. The new ones coming aboard. Thank y'all so much. We pray that you've enjoyed this session with us. And, I'll let Brittany do her thing, so I'll let her have the last words to say, but I love you. I know. It's
our thing. I was done. So with that being said, if anybody else ain't got no questions or anything, like she said, we thank y'all for joining us. If you can share it, if you like to, if you feel like it would help somebody. If you don't share it, go talk about it, because sometimes you do need an outlet. And I get it that we can, like you said, sometimes go to Jesus, especially if they're just calling on the telephone. If you ain't really calling about nothing, it's a mess, then go to Jesus. But sometimes it is nice to know that you can trust someone or go to someone without the biasness, without being judged or anything. So do that. If you feel like, this helped and you can talk to somebody, or somebody may have buzzards surrounding their life without even saying it, because that's where the analogy come in. Just send it on to them. Be like, girl or boy, listen to this. What buzzards you got flying around? Go ahead and take care. I don't know what they are. I ain't got to know, but just go ahead and take care of the buzzards. So if this can help somebody, y'all share it. You don't share it, talk about it, because I know I'm about to go back and listen to what she did. I was listening, but I'm also trying to get my thoughts and stuff together while I'm talking. But she done dropped the whole word, so I'm about to go back and listen to that again so I can go back and write some stuff down. Even post it for some comments. But I love you all. I love this community, and it's only up from here, y'all. As long as we be real and be there for each other, I don't see no other way. Right? We got life. Ain't no buzzards coming around here.
No, sir. Resuscitate yourself. Resuscitate yourself. Get the proper rest you need. Take care of your psyche. And until next time, we love you from the PsycHE community. And we ask that you continue to be blessed and prosperous in everything that you do. We'll talk.